All right, all right, all right. Okay, so we're going to get started. Thanks, you guys, for coming.
Welcome.
And thank you guys for coming to STEM Innovation Bowl. Give yourselves a hand. So, first introductions. I'm Anthony. I work for Leap Motion. I work for the developer programs team. So I deal with developers pretty much face-to-face and help them build on our SDK. Then this is Wilbur.
I'm Wilbur. I am one of the software engineers at Leap Motion. I have experience with the full tech stack. So if you have any questions regarding that, I'll be here to help you out.
Okay, so who's tried out our demo? Show of hands, come on. Really? Only this many? Really? Yeah, it's a long line, I'm sorry. Well, so Leap Motion is, some of you don't know, we built this little device called a Leap Motion controller. And what can you do with this device? We'll tell you. Hold on. Is it where? Oh, there it is. So hello, Santa Clara. Who's from Santa Clara? Anybody? Majority? Oh, mix. Okay, so what is Leap Motion? So Leap Motion makes it possible to interact with your technology using your bare hands. Now, we were founded in 2010, and we shipped the Leap Motion controller in 2013. So the Leap Motion controller is currently on sale at Best Buy and other retailers. So you can get it for $80. We do a lot of promos, so if you have send for a newsletter, you can get that. And we're also based in San Francisco, so this is a long trek for us. But happy to be here. And so let's kind of find out what can you do with the Leap Motion controller. You want to talk on that?
Yeah, so Leap Motion controller, this is a Leap Motion controller. It understands your hand. So if this is on a desk and a hand in front, it will see my hand and it will output information, API calls, etc. And you can use that to interact with applications. If my hand is here, do this, etc., etc. Stuff you can build, people have built, are games, art, music, motion control robots, and one of the main applications is the AR/VR experience, which is similar to Iron Man. We'll show a little bit of that in a bit.
Yeah, and more. And so kind of what's in the device is, it's a pretty basic device actually. So it's two cameras that use IR LEDs to illuminate hands, and then the cameras look at your hands like their eyes.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can see this, but can you guys see 3 red dots on this device, or is it too dim? No? All right. Well, imagine there's 3 red dots on the 2 sides here and the center. Between the 3 red dots, there's 2 cameras, as shown on the slides. There are 3 cameras. Let me see, my mouse is on here? Yes. So you see there's 1 camera here and 1 camera here. Think of those as your eyes. As if it's a human eye, it will, yeah. Oh, cool, laser pointer.
No.
No? Okay. Think of them as your human eyes. Each camera takes in images, and we interpolate what we think your hand is doing. The specs of these cameras are also really similar to the human eyes. The angle for them is 135 degrees in comparison. The human eye is 120. It has a refresh rate of 120 frames per second, human eyes being 60. So if we were to feed you the images the device sees to your eyes, it would feel almost the same. And that's, for those who have tried our demo, that is how we created that experience with you, perceive as if you see your real hands in a virtual world.
Yeah, the latency for kind of your hand and computer interaction is really low. That's something we work towards building too, for seamless interaction. So Wilbur, why don't we show them the visualizer and kind of let them see what's under the hood?
Sure thing.
I'll get that. So we have this diagnostic visualizer to kind of let you see what your hands are doing. So as you can see, you have the 2 cameras that represent the hand, and then you have 27 different points in your hand that's feeding data through the USB port using our software.
So you see there's an image here, and oh no, how do you turn that off? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's the controls.
Where?
There, shortcuts. There you go. Sorry about that.
All right, sorry about that. So you see this, I mentioned there's 2 cameras. If I can block one of them, one camera's over here on the one side device, and the other camera's over here. So with these 2 cameras, we can determine kind of how far your hand is and the location, And little things like, I can do stuff like, wee, yay, and put hands over. This is tough, but it's fun to do.
And it's guessing where the bones are based on how the camera data, it's looking for hands. So it's actually giving a physical representation.
So there you have it.
Another thing that's interesting, when we did initially launch, we launched with a desktop application. So in this, you're seeing it from the ground up, but we also have a mode, which we are talking about with VR, which is in front of your face. So you can have your hand represented to you and just reaching out and actually grabbing objects.
Yeah, so if you imagine the emotion is where my eyes are, or what a headset is, I can put my hand in front and it'll see as if it's like that. So I can push buttons, circle stuff, etc., etc.
Okay. And then we'll keep going. Ooh, present. Okay. Okay, so how it works is we kind of showed you that a little bit, where you see the hand data, you see how it's being represented for the 27 different points, and how our software is putting like kind of a skeletal mesh together, and that is how we're representing the hand in the digital application. And so here we're actually highlighting a new kind of asset for our Unity assets, is the image hand. So what it's doing is it's just getting those same data points, but it's overlaying the camera feed on a physics model, and it's actually looking like your real hand. So it's kind of a cheat. It's not really your hand, but it looks like your hand. Mm-hmm. And then, are there any software developers out there? Anybody developing right now? Saw one hand. That's always good. Don't worry, man. I saw you.
We'll spend the rest of this talk on this for.
Yeah, let's just spend 20 more minutes on this. So we do software, but we do support Windows, Mac, and Linux. So if you do buy a device, you can plug it into your Mac, you can plug it into your PC. For VR, we're mostly Windows focused, just because VR is mostly Windows focused.
For those who don't know, Oculus announced right now they only support Windows. So de facto, we will do the same because we support Mac as well, but we also focus on Windows because that's what Oculus decided to focus on as well.
Okay, so if you have any questions about any languages that are available or anything, feel free to ask anybody in the other room. So we'll keep moving forward. And now it's demo time. Yay, demo time. Okay, so let's pull up. So right here is our app home. This is where you can download applications basically to play any of from our app store. So we have two places in which experiences are live. It's our gallery, which is more developer focused, so a lot of our VR stuff is there. And then our app store is more of a polished experience that developer community built for us, specifically with the use case of Leap Motion. So let's play our initial interaction that we'd like people to start with.
Yeah, so this is called Playground. Too loud.
Too loud. I don't think we can control it. I think it's through the HDMI. It's lower. Oh, you're right.
That's way better.
Good job. Yeah.
So this comes when you purchase a Leap Motion and you download on a computer. This is the app that will come with it. And so the first step is showing you the range in that you can interact with. So I can go really high up, I can go really low, I can go all around. And you can see the robot hand is mimicking what my real hand is doing. So I have my hand over here so you can see it. And it's, I say it's pretty accurate. Wouldn't you say so?
I'd say it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. All right, so this is the first one, and the second one is.
I think so. If you haven't seen this, we're also showcasing this.
Yes. So, after the talk, feel free to come to the room next door. You can play with this one, room next door. But I'll show you real quick how it works. You see blocks. These blocks I can pick them up, drop them. I can pick it up, throw them, and I hit against the wall. Now, there's a robot here. What is it? This is the body. What does it do? What if I put a head on it?
And so this is kind of designed as like a party that you don't want to go to. Somebody's really depressed, so that's always good. Then there's always somebody who's very happy.
Yeah, they're a little, this is PG-13, but you can take them apart.
PG-13. Destroying them is just as fun as putting them together.
Yes.
And so with this, it's kind of showing like kind of how fun you can use like 3D motion control and how seamless it can be because it's something that you know how to use. Just grabbing objects and placing them upon something, it's very seamless to do. Get him on there, Wilbur, and now you have a robot party.
Yeah, and there are some crazy things you can try.
That's really good.
Oh, I failed. Okay. It's really hard. It's actually physically possible to put one upside down on top of the other robot, but it's not easy.
We have a lot of time on our hands. Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
in this experience, it kind of shows you interacting with a bunch of different things, and it shows you kind of the importance of grab and kind of pinch gestures. And so that gives people more of a design facet that they can use in their own applications. So let's show them the next one.
All right.
Oh no, we could show flower.
Oh, flower. Oh, all right. Sorry about that.
Hold on. Last experience. This one's good. Okay, so this one is a more art-driven application. What we're trying to showcase here is just simply picking flower petals and kind of like the delicateness of it. And as you can see, you can pluck, touch, throw, and the flower petals become little fish in like a therapeutic kind of way.
Is this V2 track? Yeah.
Woo! And then you can also pick the flower, but then it's like, oh no, it's done. What did you do? Oh, it regrows. That was actually a design feature because we got feedback from our community that they were really bummed out when the flower died. So we created.
He loves me. He loves me not.
He loves you. Oh no, I don't know. You lost it. Okay, let's show it. So these are built internally by us. So these are applications that we have that we wanted people to feel. But what's cool about our developer community is they build us applications as well. So we're going to showcase some of those.
Should we want to show first collider or we have time? We can show both. We don't want to show
Let's show plasma ball.
Plasma ball first? All right. So this app is called Plasma Ball. You can also play this one next door after the talk.
Please come next door.
This one has no objective. All you do is touch this ball, but ooh.
So what's really cool about this one, it was built by Skillman and Hackett. They were a small team that was bought by Google, and they made this HTC Vive experience called Tilt Brush, which is probably one of the best experiences right now for the HTC Vive. And so what they're showing here is kind of hand tracking fidelity, but it's also giving you fake haptics. Utilizing sound and kind of just like where your hand position are, you can actually feel your hand heating up. And it's just like a very fake, weird haptic thing.
Yeah, it's you don't get the experience as much when you have it desktop mode like we are right now. Unfortunately, we don't have it set up to do VR next door, but we do have a VR version if you have an Oculus and a Leap Motion. And it's trippy as heck. When you see this, when you see your hand and you're touching this and your hand change color, I personally feel like my hand gets warmer over time. And I have other friends who has told me the same. Some people don't, depends on how immersed you are in that environment, but this can give you a really trippy feeling.
Urban myth? Urban legend? Or Ripley's Believe It or Not. That's good. And in this application, this is built by one of our favorite developers, Eddie Lee's team in Funkatronic Labs. And again, this is showcasing just like an art kind of experience.
Oh, don't show this one?
Oh yeah, here, we'll switch you.
So Anthony here has a lot of experience with this. I have not, but...
So Eddie was inspired by the Hadron Collider and creating like this kind of like really trippy, kind of like surreal... And utilizing pinch and grab gestures, you're trying to create enough energy and carbon to get the God particle. So I'm going to cheat and do that right now. Almost there! This game utilizes a lot of interesting controls in sound and art design, but it's really trippy and really fun. And it uses a different hand model that you haven't seen, which is kind of this like 27 different points of pulsating, like I guess radial things. Yeah. But anyway.
And that's Collider?
Yeah. Feel free to try it.
That's it for demos, right?
Yeah, I think that's it for demos. Okay, good. Okay, so no questions? All right, well, that's great.
All right, sure.
Repeat
no.
the question.
So the question is, can the Leap work with other VR devices other than the Oculus Rift? Answer is yes. We mainly support Oculus right now because that is the device everyone has access to, but our stuff can work on other devices too. Stuff like the Samsung Gear VR, Cardboard, but those are a lot less supported because developers right now are all focused on Oculus, so that's what we focus on right now too.
As the climate changes from Oculus being the only developer headset widely available, that's going to change with this year and a lot of release of consumer headsets. So you'll see Leap support for a lot more headsets. To answer your question.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I'll ask you after that, but you first, please.
What if you used another body part?
What do you mean by another body part? Oh.
Or a foot or a nose?
A nose. I like that.
Yeah. So that's an interesting.
So the question was, what if you use another body part, like an elbow, a nose, or something like that?
So we've actually explored the possibility of tracking also your face. So that would not be VR. That would be way into the future. But VR, because the device is pointing outwards, it cannot see your face. You can only see the hands in front. However, if you have a version of the Leap where it's facing you instead, then it can, in theory, interpret your facial expressions as well as your hand movement at the same time. We never explored too far into it because the Leap we specialize in hand tracking.
I think it's also to note that with Kinect, for example, body tracking is more of a depth sensor thing, and we don't do depth sensor kind of tracking. The Leap motion controller is just two cameras, stereoscopic cameras.
Yeah. Sorry, over here.
Okay, great question. So what's cool about our SDK is that you can put it wherever you want. You don't have to put it on our store if you don't even want to. And you can put it, what we like to say is that's the gallery, kind of like a hack that you put together. You can just put it wherever. And if you add Leap functionality to it, we're really appreciative, but we don't own it. It's your IP. So we encourage people to build in different types of input. For example, you can use a gamepad to build an application, and then if you add Leap support, great. That works for us. Yes, it does work for the phone, but I guess Anthony will. So with the Android SDK, it's still in an alpha state. So you have to you just have to email one of us and we'll give you access, but it's still being hacked together, so to speak. Yeah, it works, but it's still being developed. It's not as smooth as it being used on a computer, but it is already still functional. Yeah, it's just not as smooth. And it's usually, just think of it as processor and things like that. You have to optimize for that, and because we're giving so many data points, it's really hard on the phone. Did you say wireless? Sorry? So wireless is a good question. So the amount of data we send is incredible. We send upwards to, I think, 50 megabytes a second,
Wireless is really hard to sustain that kind of data transfer ratio. So, yeah, not right now. Not wireless right now.
Can you describe the camera architecture in more detail, software and hardware both? So I thought it was doing depth sensing, but you said it has two infrared cameras.
Yes, that's right. A lot of people have the perception that we use depth cameras. The reason why we don't, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, a depth of field camera is a camera that it's a single camera that can determine a 3D point cloud. It's as if, so if I have a camera that looks at this, it will have all these surfaces all mapped out by the camera itself. The problem is that these 3D cameras, they have a refresh rate around 45 frames per second. We cannot accept that because when you in VR, if the frame rate in which you see stuff is lower than 90, you start getting dizzy. So that is why we chose to use stereo images, which is two normal cameras, and we do extremely fast algorithm try to figure out what the hand is doing at 120 frames per second, way faster than the camera that you mentioned. So that's the main reason why we don't use a 3D point cloud.
So can I buy an infrared camera from Amazon and do the same thing myself?
Yeah, certainly. The value of this is the algorithm, not the hardware.
Yeah, we're a software company that happens to
Yeah.
have hardware.
What is your value?
So the secret's in the software. Like basically, it's like not a lot of people can represent the hand like we can, and that's because it's the secret sauce is just kind of those 27 different points and the refresh rate of which that.
So, I mean, I will say this, detecting a hand, the problem is solved. The problem that's not solved is doing it fast. With all the time in the world, if you're given two images of a hand, you can do it really well. But it takes a good amount of time to just process that one image. We're passing 120 images per second, and we have to process that at that speed. That is where our secret lies that I cannot disclose.
Of course, like computer vision algorithms.
Yeah, computer vision algorithms, but I obviously cannot talk about how we optimize it, what kind of things we do regarding that. But that's where the money is. The hardware is very cheap, so we don't make money from that much.
And it sends the price point of why the device is so like affordable. That's why we want to keep it low because we're a software company that has hardware.
Yeah, I mean, to put in perspective, we have around 30 engineers in the company. A third of them have PhDs in math or physics. So
Really
the
dumb guys.
math of this is very intense.
Yeah.
The computation is not done so much on hardware, but almost all done on software.
On the cloud? Or like it's not done locally?
What do you mean? I mean, the computation is done locally. You download a driver which takes in the images and it outputs the API results.
You don't need Wi-Fi or anything, right?
No.
Yeah, no Wi-Fi is required. It's all done locally on computer. Aesthetic hand?
Prosthetic
Fake hand. That depends on the way the arm's shaped. If the arm is shaped really similar to your hand, then it'll work. Even hands that are a little bit off should still work. As long as the hand is not, purely metallic or it's super thin, the ratio looks weird, then it will still look fine. Yeah, so that would work too.
Any more questions? Oh, right here.
It won't track it, but
It'll think it might be a foot. I've seen developers do it. It tries to put the hand thing. It's like, is that a hand? What is that? If you no, it's not.
So the foot, the shoes.
Just take off your toes.
Take my socks.
This is what we do. See, it wants to think it's a hand. Yeah, because it's trying to look for kind of like wrist rotations, things like that, and fingers, and so appendages like that, and bone structure that's similar to a hand.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyone else? Huh? Oh. Let's get her and we'll get you. Yeah. Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, so
The question was, what are we trying to solve now, future technologies? In case anyone's here.
the main problem we're trying to solve is input to VR. So in VR space, right now there's multiple solutions. Right now the most common solution is using some sort of remote joystick. You might have heard Oculus is developing Oculus Touch. Multiple companies are using a joystick solution.
Or wands.
And there's been internal studies, and we've talked to also other partners, and everyone collectively agree that using hands is probably the better solution, because the biggest problem with joystick is you cannot see the buttons on the joystick. You are wearing a headset after all. People who use the joysticks well are people who have a small background in playing games. People who can play games have a spatial memory of what the joystick is and what buttons to push. If you don't, it becomes very hard to use. So it makes a barrier of entry using joysticks to only people who have experience playing games. With hands, anyone can use it, because everyone knows what their hand is doing, as long as you can see your hand in the VR.
And to answer that question further, we also think that mobile VR is going to be more of a powerful use case than tethered VR. Right now, we're kind of using expensive computers with good graphics cards and things like that, and the barrier to entry for monetarily is really high. So with mobile, you have so much more. Everyone has a smartphone. Everyone has a phone, and there's a couple of companies that are releasing like VR specific built phones.
Yeah, and imagine carrying around those mobile phones. The last thing you want is to carry another accessory to use it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a camera built within it, like all of our phones have a camera that can detect hands, it's a very small device that you carry around and can interact with easily.
Exactly. Yeah. Good question though.
Two questions. How much was the price? And second is, I'm a developer and I want to build something that is going to be useful, something that you haven't seen. What's your idea?
All right.
Recommend something that it's not there, because I don't want to make another.
Challenge
Yes.
accepted.
Yeah. So first question is, how much is the device? The device we're selling it for
$80.
$80. Yeah, so device is $80. Software comes free. Once you buy it, the updates are all free until
It's usually in a 2-week rotation. We give you free software updates. So the hardware doesn't have to be updated because we optimize it with the software.
Yeah. Now, so some people have asked us about, are there going to be any updates to the hardware?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
So yeah, just before I'll answer that before, and I'll answer your second question later. So yes, obviously there are plans to improve the hardware. However, so people then ask us, then why do we want to buy this device? Is to have the foot in the door. You have something that's $80, easy to develop in, and you already have experience in developing in it. When the next version comes out, it becomes easy to port. You could wait, but if you want to start early, obviously you want to get the current version and just start there. The SDK will not change between them. The only thing that might change is maybe the accuracy of the tracking and all that, but the SDK won't be a change. It's in the field of view, all that little details. Second question about applications in VR, in Leap. So I would recommend outside of VR with hands. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry.
Okay.
How about we talk to you offline? Is there any other questions?
Afterwards.
We'll talk about it offline.